Hey everybody, welcome to the Citizen Sports Weekly. As you can see, Chris Shear is not here.
No, he's not. I am. I'm Skaneateles Journal editor Jonathan Monfiletto, and do we dare mention where Chris is this week?
We'll save it. We'll save it for
Yeah, I'm
next
sure
week.
he'll want to talk about that next week. I'm sure.
No spoilers.
It is sports related, so we'll let Chris talk about that next week.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk some NFL schedules this week, even get into some Tim Tebow talk.
Yeah, it's a big talk this week.
Yeah. And then finish off with some NASCAR. Moneybags is forte over here. So let's get into it.
Well, of course.
Packers schedule.
Of course, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. Actually wore the green for Earth Day today, but hey, I guess it works for the sports video as well. And of course, Robert's a Bills fan, and I love the Packers schedule. Actually, both I just feel good about the Packers being able to have a successful season, but just like the look of it. I mean, we open up with the Bears. I mean, what could be better than starting right off with a rivalry game? I mean, that'll be awesome. That'll be at Chicago, and then on Thanksgiving, the Bears again in Green Bay with featuring Brett Favre's jersey retarement.
Nice.
So that's I like the setup of those two Bears games. Honestly,
Spaces it out.
Yeah, and just that they're in pretty prominent positions. You know, starting right off the bat, and then the Thanksgiving game, and a pretty good schedule. We're kind of talking. We're not really going to make predictions. I think the Packers can go 16-0, but I think that every year, of course. And then it's interesting towards the end of the year, and actually that Thanksgiving game is in there. You have 4 NFC North games in a row, so that's could be a bit of a challenge in the sense that that's how going to determine how you rank in the division. So that'll be interesting. What about the Bills?
Well, the Bills' schedule is something. It's a mix of things. They start first 2 weeks of the season. They play both teams who were in the AFC Championship game last season.
Oh wow!
They open at home against the Colts. The following week they play the Patriots at home. So 2 tough games. They're home games, so you do have an opportunity to win there. First test for Rex Ryan's ball club. So yeah, it'll be a interesting start to the season. They play week 3 at the Dolphins, so that following day I'm sure I'll be getting a beverage from Chris. I'm pretty sure that's how the bet works.
Yeah, I'm going to miss out on that this year.
So, the early part of the Bills season is nice, and, it's capped off right before their bye week. They go to London and play at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Wow.
So, you wake up and bam, football's on. They're playing the Jaguars, and so looking forward to that. They come off the bye, play the Dolphins again, which, again, another beverage opportunity. And then the following week, they play the Jets on Thursday. And then after that, they play the Patriots on Monday Night Football. So back-to-back primetime games.
Yeah, that's got to be exciting. That's the first time in a while the Bills have had a primetime slot.
Well, they've played Thursday night games, but they haven't had a Monday night slot in a while, or even a Sunday night game. So this is welcome news to be able to play a Monday night game, even if it is on the road against the Patriots.
Now I got to ask you, how do you feel about the Bills' season? I mean, of course they got a new coach with Rex Ryan. Kind of had some less than spectacular seasons, of course, maybe that's putting it nicely, with the Jets. But still, I mean, he's shown some strength in the past, and then, of course, they've made a lot of off-season moves with some trades and some free agents and stuff. I mean, how do you feel about maybe bettering that 9-7 record they had this season?
I'm confident. I think the pieces are there, of course, on defense. Not a lot of changes there except really who's coaching it. Mm-hmm. And you bring in Rex Ryan, and 2 seasons ago, the defense was coached by Mike Pettin, who's a Rex Ryan disciple. So that's a good thing. I mean, they're familiar with the system. They thrived in the system before. We shouldn't expect any changes there. The offense is the big question mark. Although, even though the quarterback position is there's some uncertainty there. They have a lot of weapons. They added LaShawn McCoy, of course, brought in Percy Harvin. They have Sammy Watkins already, Robert Woods. Fred Jackson, of course, is still there. They brought in Charles Clay to play tight end. So they've got some pieces there to help a quarterback out,
sure.
No matter who it is. So, I think that even though there's some tough stretches in the schedule, at one point, and this is later in the season. It extends from November to December. They play 5 out of 6 games on the road,
wow,
which is brutal. But I think even with that, they can get to 9 or 10 wins this year. I have them, just on paper winning 10 and making the playoffs.
Wow.
So
That'll be.
I'm really confident. I mean, obviously I'm a fan, so maybe I'm biased, but I think looking at this objectively, they have some games that they can win.
And like I said, I'm feeling pretty good about the Packers season too. They were able to hang on to some of their key players. I don't know. I'm totally blanking now, but yeah, I know they kept some pretty big players on both sides of the ball, which is
they re-signed Randall Cobb, right?
Thank you. That was the one I was thinking of. Thank you. Yeah, obviously a big. That was. I had to really admire him for that. He said, I could have gotten paid more to go play for another team, but I wanted to be with a team that could win. So he took a bit of a pay cut. I mean, he's still making, I think, like $30 million. So I mean, it's not that big of a loss in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, of course, I kept him.
Plus,
and
would that other team have Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball?
Exactly. I mean, and that's what I love about Green Bay. I mean, they have Rodgers. He's got Jordan Nelson, Randall Cobb. But on the other side of the ball, you got guys like Clay Matthews and so I mean it's good. I feel pretty good. And we do play the Seahawks week 2 at home this time, so that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, the Seahawks are obviously a tough team. They won the Super Bowl one year and they were in it again this year. And of course beat the Packers in that infamous loss that I still cry myself to sleep over. So that should be a bit of a challenge. And we play the Broncos too. I mean, since Peyton Manning joined the Broncos, they've just been a powerhouse. But otherwise, I mean, it should be a good year for the Packers, and hopefully for the Bills too.
Yeah.
They're not my number one team, but being what I consider the true New York team, I love to see them do well.
Yeah. Well, let's transition because we mentioned Tim Tebow early on. Of course, he used to play for the Jets. Signing with the Eagles, he's back in the NFL.
Well, what is he? Honestly, I obviously not an expert on football by any means, but I thought he did a fair job with the Broncos when he was with them in his rookie year. I mean,
did take him to the playoffs.
Talked to them playoffs for the first time in I don't know how long it had been at that point, but and beat, I think it was the Steelers, I think, and then in the playoffs, and then a tough loss to the Patriots. I mean, for a kid just kind of starting out his NFL career, that I thought was a pretty fair job, and they didn't agree, obviously, and then he went to the Jets and played a little bit there, but didn't really get a chance, and the Patriots didn't give him much of a chance at all. I hope the Eagles do give him a chance. I think I think he does have some talent somewhere. I mean, what do you think? You're obviously more of the expert than I am.
Well, I think a good position for him. He certainly has the size, the speed and power to transition to a running back role. Mm-hmm. Certainly he is effective running the ball. It's his arm that there's a lot of questions about, and the Eagles have quarterbacks who can throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they traded for Sam Bradford, but Tebow's a guy that they can bring in and really gives them a change of pace. He can come out and he has the ability to throw the ball if he needs to, but he can run from the quarterback position, which with Sam Bradford they don't really have. I don't think he's more of a pocket passer. Mm-hmm. He is mobile to a degree, but certainly not to Tim Tebow's level. So he gives them options is really what it's about, and
Mm-hmm.
If they want him on the team, if he makes that final cut, I think that's what you were alluding to, really. That's the big question mark, of course. But if he does make that cut, I think he can contribute in some way.
Yeah, because he is competing with like 4 other quarterbacks, I think, or 4. I mean, there's quite a depth
crowded
there.
Field, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I hope like you said, even if it's a running back position, or I think he's just got a good attitude, and I think it'd be cool to have someone like that back in the NFL.
Sure. All right, let's talk NASCAR.
Yeah,
that's why you're here.
My favorite part to do when Chris is gone, or even the times I filled in for Robert, I've gotten to. Chris has let me talk about NASCAR.
That's right.
A little bit of sad news, of course. Yesterday, Fox Sports announcer Steve Burns lost his battle with cancer. But a really cool moment with the race at Bristol this weekend. Traditionally called the Food City 500, they renamed it the Food City 500 in support of Steve Burns. Just to kind of rally around him, show support for him. The fans and the drivers and all the teams really put on just a great show of respect for a guy who did a lot for the sport as far as reporting on it and just bringing it home to the viewers. And it It was a long race, of course. I mean, not long, a little bit longer by length, as there was a green-white checker. But as far as time, I think it was scheduled to start at 1, and I think it finally ended close to about 11 o'clock that night with a few rain delays in the middle. But to NASCAR's credit, I mean, they literally had a rain delay with 2 laps to go before the green-white checkered. And at that point, I'm sitting at home going, I've been watching this thing all day. Just call it so I can go to bed.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, to their credit, they said, you know what? The fans that came to the track that are still here, and even the ones watching on TV, want to see a full show, and that's what they did. Drive the track off, 2 laps, gave it a 2-lap shootout, and Jimmy Johnson almost caught Matt Kenseth, but Kenseth hung on and got his first win of the season in like 51 races. So he's, unlike last year where he got in on points, he's solidly in the chase this year.
Yeah. I was looking at the standings before we came in, and you know, you see the usual suspects there. Harvick, of course, at the top. Logano, you know, right behind him. You know, names like Kozlowski, Johnson,
sure.
of course. But at 13th, this one caught my eye. Danica Patrick.
Yeah, she's actually been having you know, I haven't
believe 2
always
straight top 10s, right?
well, two straight on the short tracks actually. I think it was like 6th or 7th at Martinsville, and then about a 7th or 8th at Bristol. So she's had her fair share of critics. I've certainly been one of them, of course, but she's in a contract year, as they say, and put on a pretty good show. I don't quite know if she'll make the chase. I think it'll depend on really, like last year, on how many different winners you have versus who gets in on points. But I mean, you know, certainly giving it all she's got.
Yeah, no, I thought that she really had some momentum last year. She started, you know, it seemed like something clicked, and you know, she attributed it to some advice she got from Kevin Harvick,
Sure.
who, you know, obviously knows a thing or two.
He's a pretty decent driver. Yeah.
And you know, it seemed right after that she started, you know, doing a lot better, and you know, really had something going there. Of course, that was, you know, later in the season, so at that point it was, you know, a lost year. But this year it seems like, you know, she started off a little slow, but she picked, you know,
Sure.
off, you know, right up where she left off, and you know, if she wins a race, great, because she
that would be
in.
it'd be fantastic.
But,
That would get her in the chase and, of course, set history. And she already did set history with her top 10 at Bristol. Is now among female drivers in the Sprint Cup Series, has the most top 10s.
Yeah,
Which is pretty neat.
Yeah, so I mean, she certainly has the ability. It's a question of, you know, keeping that consistency, putting yourself into position, and you know, if you don't win, at least be in the hunt, you know, in terms of points. So, but what, you know, I guess name one other driver you think's worth mentioning, and you know, might not be getting the play so far this year, but is doing pretty well.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because he may have fallen out of the chase standings because he wrecked out at Bristol, but I think David Reagan could be a bit of a sleeper. Of course, it'll depend on how long he's in the 18 car. I mean, of course, you know, we all hope Kyle Busch gets back as soon as he can, but you know, in the meantime, I think David Reagan's got this great opportunity to really show his talent. He kind of lost his ride with Roush Racing, sadly, after he won his first race because of some sponsorship issues, but got the opportunity in the 18 car, turned in a couple top 10 runs, and probably some races where he could have run better than he did, and like at Bristol, I think he was kind of running at a decent place when he got caught up in a crash. And Talladega's coming up, and that's obviously one of his best tracks. I think, like I said, it'll depend on when Kyle Busch comes back, because obviously when Kyle Busch comes back, David Reagan will probably return to front row motorsports. But if David Reagan can somehow get a win in the 18 car before he's out of there, you know, that would put him in the chase, of course. But I think he could, at least while he's in the 18 car, make it on point. So we'll see.
You know, I like seeing Truex's name.
Yeah, really. That is
that to
awesome
me is
to
the
see.
guy who's doing pretty well for himself.
Ironically enough, you know, talk about Truex, and the first thing that comes up is that up until Bristol, he had all top 10 runs this season. Had a mechanical issue, and actually all 3 drivers that went into Bristol having top 10s all year went out for some reason. But Truex has definitely been a surprise, and you know, I think he'll win a race this year or two, or you know, I mean, I think he's
been close.
Yeah, been really close, and I think it's kind of a matter of, like anything, you know, football or baseball or anything, it's a matter of putting the pieces together and finding the right opportunity. But that's great for that Furniture Row Racing team.
Well, we'll cut it off there. thanks for joining.
I
us
do want
this
to
week.
mention, and Robert said I should mention this
Oh, yeah,
before it's
yeah.
gone again, is my New York Mets are not only in first place, but also have the best record in baseball. That'll probably be gone tomorrow, so I better mention it while I can.
It'll be over next week.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, that's I mean the Mets. My team's the Nationals, and the Mets took 2 or 3, I think, in the opening series. So, they look tough this year.
Yeah.
Hitting the ball well, getting good pitching. 2 things that have evaded the Mets for years.
Absolutely.
But we'll wrap it up there. Jonathan, it's always great to have you in as a guest host, and Chris will be back next week with his story about his surprise sports thing, we'll call it. He'll have plenty to share on that, I'm sure. So we'll wrap it up now, but make sure you watch the video available on YouTube and on the Citizens website at auburnpub.com. And Chris and I will return next week. Take care.